All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore a pretty radical idea. What if the biggest thing holding you back from building wealth isn't what's in your bank account, but what's in your brain? I mean, think about it. Is wealth really all in your head? We're always told it's about hard work, maybe a little bit of luck, or being in the right place at the right time. But what if the real secret, the actual key, is your mindset? Well, believe it or not, science is now telling us, yeah, it is. We've got brain scans that have actually revealed that the minds of wealthy people are wired differently. And this is the most exciting part, this isn't about your destiny being sealed. These differences are not permanent. You can literally, physically rewire your brain for success. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to look at the big secret behind the rich brain. Then we'll dive into 4 key mindsets that scientists have identified: playing the long game, spotting opportunities, making learning a non-negotiable habit, and finally, taking total, complete ownership of your life. So, let's start with that core secret. Here's the deal. Scientists have found that when you start thinking like the wealthy, it actually changes the physical structure of your brain. In studies, when people from poor backgrounds started to adopt these specific mindsets, their brain scans literally began to change, and so did their bank accounts. So yeah, it's biology, but it's a biology that you are in complete control of. All right, let's get into the first mindset. This is a big one. It's all about playing the long game. And there's no better way to understand this than by looking at one of the most famous psychological experiments ever done. Picture this. It's 1972, and a psychologist at Stanford brings a bunch of 4-year-old kids into a room, one by one. He puts a single marshmallow down in front of them and makes them a simple deal. He says, you can eat this one marshmallow right now, or if you can wait 15 minutes until I get back, you can have 2. And the split was just fascinating. About 70% of the kids just couldn't wait. I mean, some of them ate it in less than 30 seconds. But a small, determined group, about 30%, they managed to hold out for the entire 15 minutes. They delayed that immediate gratification for a bigger reward down the line. And that one choice, well, it would echo for the rest of their lives. And this is where the story gets absolutely incredible. The researchers tracked these kids for 40 years. 40! The ones who waited for that second marshmallow, as adults, they had higher paying jobs, lower divorce rates, and were way less likely to struggle with things like debt or addiction. And later in life, brain scans confirmed it all. The self-control regions of their brains were physically stronger. Now look, this isn't just some dusty old academic theory. Jeff Bezos famously used what he called a regret minimization framework to make the biggest decision of his life. He asked himself, when I'm 80, will I regret leaving my safe Wall Street job to start this crazy internet company? He knew he'd regret not trying way more than he'd regret failing. That right there is the long game in action. Okay, let's move on to our second mindset because this builds directly on the first one. It turns out wealthy people don't just think long-term. Their brains are actually better at spotting the very opportunities that create that long-term success. So check this out. In 2019, Harvard Business School ran this really clever experiment. They brought in 200 people, half wealthy, half from struggling backgrounds, and they put them in these rooms that were just filled with hidden opportunities. Things like a notice on a bulletin board looking for a freelancer, or a book on the shelf detailing a side hustle. And the results were just wow. Not even close. 70% of the wealthy participants spotted at least 2 of these hidden opportunities. Meanwhile, only 18% of the struggling individuals noticed more than 1, if they noticed any at all. The brain scans told the story. The part of the brain linked to pattern recognition and creativity was firing on all cylinders for the wealthy group and was barely active for the other. And this experiment, it perfectly explains a crazy real-world stat. 85% of self-made millionaires have at least 3 streams of income. Most people, they just have 1. See, the wealthy aren't just working one job. They're constantly on the lookout, building new revenue streams, because their brains are trained to see possibilities everywhere. So you're probably wondering, okay, how do I actually train my brain to do this? Well, here's the key. You don't chase 10 things at once. It's a system. First, you build one predictable income source and you master it. You make it stable. Then, once it's solid, you start actively looking for that second opportunity. You build that, you stabilize it, and then you repeat the process. One solid stream at a time. And that brings us to mindset number 3, which is really the fuel for the first 2.
You see, to play the long game and to get good at spotting opportunities, you have to be constantly arming yourself with new knowledge.
A financial planner named Thomas Corley spent 5 years studying the daily habits of hundreds of wealthy people and comparing them to people who were struggling financially. The difference was night and day. Nearly 90% of his wealthy clients spent at least 30 minutes a day on targeted learning, reading books, listening to podcasts, all related to their goals. And the poor? 95% of them spent that same time on passive entertainment, like TV. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two friends, we'll call them Rahul and Ankur. Both of them lose their jobs during the pandemic lockdown. They both suddenly have 9 months of free time on their hands. Rahul spends that time binge-watching Netflix, just passively consuming content. Ankur, on the other hand, decides to use that time to learn a new, high-demand skill, video editing. Okay, fast forward 9 months. Where are they now? Rahul is still unemployed, blaming the bad market and the pandemic. But Ankur? He's now earning 1.5 lakh a month editing videos for new clients. It was the same situation, the same amount of time, but one of them chose learning, and that single choice created a completely different reality. He didn't find an opportunity, he created one. And that story about Ankur creating his own luck, it leads us perfectly into our final and honestly maybe the most important mindset of all. The wealthy don't just take action, they take full, radical responsibility for every single part of their financial lives. Back in 2017, the London School of Economics surveyed 10,000 people across 5 countries. They asked them a really simple question: why are you in your current financial situation? The answers told you everything you need to know. The struggling group almost always blamed external factors. The economy is bad, the government is corrupt, I never got a chance. And the wealthy group? Their answers were all internal. I made good decisions. I was persistent. I took responsibility. And the brain scans from the study were wild. The blame mindset lit up the fear center of the brain. The ownership mindset, it activated the prefrontal cortex, the brain's CEO, the part responsible for problem solving. So let's get real for a second. What are your go-to excuses? I don't have enough money or time or connections or skills. Be honest and write them down. Now, here's the magic trick. You take every single one of those excuses and you flip it into an action. I don't have money becomes, how can I start something with zero investment? I don't have time becomes, I'm going to use my commute to listen to an educational podcast. This simple act, this flip, starts to rewire their brain from feeling like a victim to acting like an owner. So let's put it all together. What these incredible studies have proven is that you can fundamentally transform your brain and your financial future. You just have to adopt these 4 mindsets. Number 1, think long-term. Number 2, train yourself to spot opportunities. Number 3, make learning a daily, targeted habit. And number 4, above all else, take complete and total ownership of your life. The science is crystal clear, and the blueprint is now in your hands. So the only real question left is, which of these powerful mindsets are you going to start building first? Thanks for tuning in.